If you're a fan of Pokemon, you may or may not be familiar with the game Pokerogue, a fan game that turns Pokemon into, well, a roguelike. I mean, you kinda should, it's been out for a while. You start off with only a few Pokemon and are forced to make your way through several levels, facing powerful opponents, strong Pokemon, and encountering many interesting events along the way, until you eventually find a successful run, taking you to the end of the game. It's pretty challenging for someone who only really plays Pokemon casually, as there's a lot of strategy that needs to be considered in order to win the game. That's why I've decided to take on this challenge, hoping that I can emerge from the several failed runs of many other players, and find myself among the players that have beaten Pokerogue. First things first, one of our most important steps, selection of Pokemon. As you progress through the game and catch Pokemon, they'll be added to your Pokedex here, making them available for use in your next run. You're also able to hatch eggs, which can either have increased odds for special moves, specific legendary Pokemon, or increased shiny odds. This means more thought needs to go behind what Pokemon I select for this run if I want to figure out the best way for success. Alongside with this, each Pokemon has a point value depending on how good they are, and you can only take a maximum of 10 points worth of Pokemon. After putting some thought towards it and considering many other options, this was the team that I decided on. Welcome to my PowerPoint slideshow. Today I will be talking about my reasons for picking my Pokerogue team. First of all, we have Oshawott. Oshawott, first of all, has the water typing. Not many types are better than the water type. Some types, like Fairy and Steel, those are predominantly the best Pokemon types. But water type doesn't fall too far behind, as it only has 2 weaknesses and pretty good resistances overall. Another reason, has the egg move Triple Axle from previous explorations. Essentially what has happened, I've played the game previously, I've gotten eggs, one of the eggs hatched into an Oshawott, and that Oshawott learned to move Triple Axle, which allows me to use that move on an Oshawott for another run. So essentially, I'm starting this run with an Oshawott with a pretty good move. Another reason, Hisuian Samurott, water dark type, but it has the move Ceaseless Edge, which if you don't know, dark type move 70 power or something like that, and it summons spikes when used. And hazards definitely will be useful in this. And my last reason is because I thought the rival would pick a grass type starter to counter my water type. And grass types, they're pretty bad. They have 5 weaknesses and they're somewhat good offensively, but not the best, you know, out of the 2 types. So that would put my rival at a disadvantage in the late game where I would be more prepared. I forgot a bracket at the end of that. Ralts is the second Pokemon of the team. It has the Fairy Psychic typing, which is a very good offensive typing, and it keeps that when it evolves into a Gardevoir, which also has very promising stats. It's good special attacker, good speed, and if you get the items to boost those stats, Gardevoir is going to be a very strong force to deal with for, you know, the opponents. I'm just going to have a lot of fun. Has the move coverage. It has good move coverage, with the moves Mystical Fire, Psychic, Shadow Ball being able to counter all of its weaknesses. So the Steel type gets countered by Mystical Fire, Poison by Psychic, and Ghost with Shadow Ball. And those are pretty strong moves for a special attacker, so Gardevoir is going to be even stronger if I get those moves and are able to keep them throughout the whole run. And my last reason, possibility for Mega Evolution. This game has Megas. Mega Gardevoir, if we get that, we're going to have a very strong special attacker that can just wipe essentially almost any Pokemon that comes in its way. Third Pokemon, Mareep. It's my favorite Pokemon. No, I'm kidding. I actually have reasons for picking this one. While my bias for Ampharos was definitely a key part in this, since it's my favorite Pokemon of all time, I have another reason for the choice of Mareep. Parabolic Charge. It's an egg move, so just like Oshawott, I got an egg, it hatched into a Mareep, and gave me this move. Parabolic Charge hits both opponents, so if I'm on double battles, it's good. It also does hit my own Pokemon, so ground type will be key for using this Pokemon and Parabolic Charge efficiently. It evolves into a specially defensive tank, so if I encounter any Pokemon that's main stat is special attack, I can just send an Ampharos there, tank the hits, and hopefully just rack up some damage. And with Static and Thunder, like all those electric moves that do paralysis, that will be good, so I can slow down, because special attackers are typically fast. You can slow them down with the paralysis and then send in another Pokemon to just do the rest of the dirty work. Next reason, somewhat early evolution into its final stage. We got a level 15 evolution, level 30 evolution, so a bit earlier than most of your normal Pokemon, so that we can get some strong Pokemon before we go into other battles. And last reason, Mega Evolution as well. Mega Ampharos gets Dragon type, Dragon type is probably 4th, 5th best type. It's good. And our last Pokemon, which may come as a surprise, Shiny Zigzagoon. I couldn't find an image of Shiny Zigzagoon, so I just have that. And also Pokerogue. They have their own unique shinies, so that was one main reason. But also I want to flex my shiny because I never catch shinies in like the main Pokemon games. The only shiny I've caught in a real vanilla Pokemon game was Red Gyarados. That seems fair. But there's also a proper reason for this pick. There's a mystery use because I'm going to show you later. So thanks for watching the PowerPoint slideshow of my Pokemon team. And I hope that I actually win this and I don't die in a miserable way and come to regret it later on and then play another run and also put that in the video and then fail that run as well. And then put another one in another video and fail that run as well. Yeah, I think you know where I'm getting at. Let's just get into the video. Starting off in the town, we're easily able to kill most Pokemon here with no issues. As you can see, after knocking out a Pokemon, we're given the option between free items, which can vary in rarity, depending on how nice Lady Luck is feeling. Speaking of luck, you can see it in the top right corner that there's a luck stat. Our exact reason for having Zigzagoon on the team. Any shiny Pokemon on the team that hasn't fainted will increase this ranking, giving you hopefully a better choice of items. You're also able to buy items if you have the money for it. So it's wise to save up your money if you're in crucial need of healing, because you might not get the chance for a revive out of your selection of items. But for the beginning of the game, there really isn't much interesting. Only a trainer battle and some wild Pokemon encounters. This means we can skip straight to level 8. It's here where we meet our rival Ivy, who, unlike most official Pokemon rivals, is able to put up a challenge in battles. Not so much here though, as Oshawott, but mostly Mareep is enough to beat Ivy's Charmander and Wattrel. We get given an EXP charm and EXP share, and get lucky enough to pull an upgrade for it immediately after the battle. Mareep faints at level 9, which really helps when the boss fight at level 10 happens to be a double battle. And before proceeding, I should quickly gloss over this. Every 10 battles, you'll have to face a boss of some sort. It may be a strong Pokemon with multiple health bar sections, or a strong gym leader that corresponds with the location. Or in some situations, you could get extremely lucky and stumble upon a mythical or legendary Pokemon. Thanks to the Budoof's AI still having an underdeveloped thought process, I was able to get through more easily than I thought I would. And now it's time for a new location, as after beating 10 levels, you'll get taken to a new location. In this instance, we go from the starting town to the plains biome. Not much happens during this area, as I mostly just used it as a way of grinding up my other Pokemon levels. However, I found myself facing an interesting Pokemon at level 16. A Blaze Breed Tauros. This is an interesting Pokemon that I could definitely use on my team. Along with that, it has the ability Intimidate. Even more of a reason to catch it. As explained just before, Tauros was caught because of its ability, Intimidate. But there's more to the catch that meets the eye. Tauros provides more type coverage on my team, giving me access to fire and fighting type moves that wouldn't have stab if on other Pokemon. Alongside this, Tauros can be a pretty deadly Pokemon to deal with if no counters for it are available, as it's fast and strong. If I'm able to set up with it, it's practically over for anyone on the opposing side. So to put it simply, this thing will be a menace throughout the whole game. But now it was time to fight Cress, Gen 5's water type gym leader. Yeah, I think we all know where this is going. Mareep Evolution! Starting off in level 1 with the Metropolis, I encountered an event. These events have a small chance of occurring, with several different ones being within the game's code. They may benefit your Pokemon, give you desirable items, or maybe just screw you over if you're not careful enough with what your choice is. In this case, I happened to find a lone Oricorio dancing in the streets. I was tempted to catch it purely because Oricorio is one of my favorite underrated Pokemon, but the option of learning the dance was a much better choice. This allowed me to teach Ralt's Revelation Dance, giving it a much needed power boost in its moves. And with that, Revelation Dance also becomes the type of whatever Pokemon you choose. I found a Furfrou, which I jokingly said I would catch if it lived a double kick, which it surprisingly did. Yeah, I literally have no other reasoning besides what I just said. We can just skip this. Immediately after finding Furfrou, I found myself standing in front of 2 Pokemon. Well, 1 Pokemon now. Oh yeah, if it's not obvious, I intended on catching the Pikachu, which I did. Pikachu is naturally a fast Pokemon, which means it'll allow me to outspeed most Pokemon I encounter, allowing me to inflict damage first against my opponents. This opens up opportunities for me to use moves such as Nuzzle to give my other Pokemon an advantage when coming on against a stronger foe, as they'll already be paralyzed by the time I send in a new Pokemon. I also wanted to catch this because I like Pikachu Libre a lot, with the only one I like more than it being the beauty form. But besides that, Pikachu can act as a strong supporting Pokemon for the members that may struggle against other Pokemon. I healed up my Pokemon and prepared to face Ivy again. Her team was definitely stronger than last time, but I could not care less about that right now because Oshawott evolving! Cool! Oh, right. The battle. Yeah, no, it was still really easy. I don't know what else to say. I breezed through the rest of the metropolis, easily defeating the boss Herdier. I moved on towards the slot. Lots evolved into a Curlia, but I think I may have messed up the evolution screen by alt-tabbing. Anyways, here's a Magma Grout. And now here's my Zigzagoon evolving. And I'm saying it now, this is a better shiny than the original. Anyways, very serious intermission. This is very important to the story of this game and to this whole adventure that I'm gonna go on. I named my Pokemon. So get used to the new team, and me referring to the Pokemon as their new names. The rest of the slum was extremely easy, as Red just bulldozed, pun intended. The rest of the slum was extremely easy, as Red just bulldozed through all the Pokemon, and Amphi assisted with finishing off the boss coughing. Proceeding to the construction site, and I almost immediately get a Flaffy evolution, giving me my first fully evolved Pokemon of the team, excluding the non-evolving Tauros and the Lunin that I've also just forgotten to mention, but I just remembered it right now. At level 44, I encountered an event that I have never seen before, but my enjoyment was short-lived as he was trying to take Amphi away from me. Wait, I can rob him? Yep, okay, it's confirmed. This is one of the best video games of all time. Like every other area, it was pretty easy to breeze through the wild Pokemon, and I was only stopped by evolutions on my own team, such as Navi evolving into a Gardevoir. I tried leveling up Jarius, but man, this guy sucks. It's honestly surprising that out of my whole team, my shiny is the one that I'm considering fodder. Like, how does that happen? That's not normal. Do better. Level 50 had me fighting Gym Leader Chuck. Navi time! And I guess Red can have some scraps too. Also need to mention that every 50 Pokemon battles, you'll get access to another item slot when beating a level. So now I have 4 potential items to get instead of 3. The power plan had us starting off with an event of me doing unpaid labor. Well, that's kind of a lie, actually. Jarius was the one doing the unpaid labor. Not important, though, because we've got our first Rogue Ball item, baby. And it's the most mediocre shit ever. Moving on to more important matters, I got myself a magnet for Ampharos, and now it's on to an Ivy battle. This battle was mostly exchanges of death, with most of our Pokemon just dying one after another, until I decided to actually just win the game with Amphi. My duo evolved as well, but not into its Hisuian variant, so there goes my dream of setting up endless spikes on the opponent's side, I guess. I collected an XP balance and an XP charm on the way, and defeated the boss Dedenne. Onto the factory, where I would have to fight several Team Magma grunts. What the fuck is Pika Papao? I passed up on getting superpower on Samurott and encountered a shady guy who I let give meds to Red. Yeah? I think it's safe to say this game is the best game ever! Now we're fighting an actually notable Team Magma member. Admin Courtney. Oh, wow, okay, never mind, I guess that was really easy. I'm gonna find Maxie next, aren't I? Well, not here, because I'm fighting goddamn Magearna! Oh, wait, I can actually catch this. Magearna is a self-explanatory catch, as one of the best typings in the game of Fairy Steel, has an extremely diverse move pool, and is overwhelmingly strong due to having the status of being a mythical Pokemon. I only have 1 Pokeball left. It used up all of my Pokeballs. Please catch. Back to the plains biome, and I happened to stumble upon a strange machine. I had Amphi hacked through Jeff Bezos' paywall, and now I'm fighting border security in a completely different location. I got myself a Dynamax band out of pure luck, and now I have to fight Gym Leader Brawly, but I think we all know where this is going, so let's just skip back to the end. Back to the plains biome, where I instantly get thrown into an ace trainer battle, which, you know, Amphi kind of easily works through this, with Red coming in to finish off the rest. And my reward? Shit. Wait, that's a shiny shot. The rest of the plains biome didn't supply anything interesting, so we're just gonna skip over the rest of it and move on. And move on we did to the lake, and I'm realizing now that Jarius has been picking up berries the whole time. Brother, I need a damn berry encyclopedia if I'm gonna know what any of these do, because what are half of these berries? Level 95 becomes a challenge, as this is where yet another Ivy battle is. But this time, she's a lot more difficult to beat than last time. For starters, she's got a Terrifier Charizard, and she's actually using her brain for once, with the little brain cells she has, and making smart switches between her Pokemon. Maybe not after the first one, but she does get smart plays. Occasionally, Red almost finishes it off and weakens the recently switched in Charizard enough for Jerry's to finally do something substantial and finish off Charizard. And to an extent, they already weakened Goldengo and Kilowattrel. Anyways, time for a carnival game. Weaken Wobbuffet as close to 1 HP as you can, and then you get yourself a nice reward. My attempt resulted in me getting a second tier prize, a scope lens. I gave it to Red and oh, that's just Suicune. Suicune has the right of being at legendary status. It has high base stat total and has the water typing, which I've already expressed as a really good type. I killed it. Okay, in my defense, I knocked out the boss Dreadnought and moved on to the swamp, where nothing happened until the end. I befriended this supposedly special Poliwrath, which I was able to add to the team. What the fuck is Wild Bolt Storm? Yeah, okay, looking back at this was not a smart choice at all, putting Poliwrath on the team, but here we are, I guess. Moving on to the battle against Gym Leader Roxy, which I'll admit was actually pretty hard until I decided to use Red and decided that taking itself out was the best option rather than just fighting. Yeah, I don't know. It's now time to fight some more Team Magma members. Great. I don't know what else to say. Captain and Miss Macho were able to do a lot of damage against the first grunt, with Red coming in to finish things off more easily. And as for Admin Tabitha, I gave him a good old taste of the Navi sweet. But now, it's time to fight Maxie. Navi took out half of Mega Camerup's health and knocked out Torkoal before falling to Gliscor in her sleep. Unfortunately, Red came out and managed to knock out both Maxie's Gliscor and Flygon before meeting its end against the half-health Mega Camerupt. Wario came in for the first time in battle and assisted in taking out Mega Camerupt. Maxie had now been defeated, so I helped myself to some Rogue Balls and quickly finished things up in the tall grass. The cave was an interesting place, as when I moved into level 122, I found myself standing face to face against an Ursaluna. Ursaluna is able to provide some diversity to my team, as my team has a lot of overlapping types. Catching this will make my team less vulnerable to specific types of Pokemon that could possibly screw me over if I encounter them. Ursaluna is also a very tanky Pokemon, which is something that I'm lacking on my team. Well, I guess except Ampharos, but Ampharos is kind of special tank. With that on the team, I have a stronger Pokemon that I'll be able to send out against certain Pokemon that may pose an issue for the rest of my team. And before anyone says anything, yes, I did catch the Ursaluna. The rest of the cave was uninteresting until I stumbled upon a chest. With no hesitation, I opened it up and was rewarded for my stupidity. My item happened to be a healing charm, which essentially boosts all healing, from healing moves to healing items out of battle. I then found myself as the opponent of a Uxie. Uxie is another tanky Pokemon that can act as a supporting Pokemon for the rest of my team members. Its psychic typing is also notable, as it's one of the better typings in the game. Uxie also possesses a wide variety of moves in its move pool, which will allow me to customize its moves to however I want. God damn! Oh, no, never mind. It actually caught. It caught. Finally, entering the Badlands was a big surprise for me, as moving into level 134 presented to me a Mega Bracelet. I swiftly beat the camera, protecting the delicacy of Mega Evolutions, and unlocked them for myself. The rest of the Badlands wasn't much, as the gym battle against Clay was extremely fast, thanks to Captain, Justice, and Zephyr. The desert was next, and I started off by being a thief yet again, and stealing the Sandaconda's berries. Now here's where the real friending battle occurs. The level 145 battle against Ivy. Right after sending out Charizard, Ivy switches to using her shiny Rayquaza. That's right. I guess, yeah, why not? Let her have that, I guess. Yeah, I'm just coping. I send an Ampharos to tank Rayquaza's fly and switch out when faced with Ivy's own Ursaluna. Justice faces Goldengo, but I immediately opt out for Zephyr instead. I predicted the switch into Rayquaza and used Play Rough instead of Headlong Rush, managing to weaken Rayquaza to 1 health section. I lived an outrage from Rayquaza and knocked out the legendary dragon. Ha ha! I let Zephyr fall to Kilowattrel, and after lots of switching between the two of us, we finally find kills on each other's sides. Charizard one-shots Navi and gets switched out after I tried using Dig. I put Ursaluna to sleep, allowing for Justice to use Mystical Power to power up their special attack. Justice finishes Ursaluna and Charizard, but falls victim of Kilowattrel. Amphi meets the same fate, so Captain comes out and triple axles Kilowattrel, knocking it out. Captain finds himself having to carry the rest of the team, keeping the hope of the run alive. It's him against Ivy's final Pokemon. Hastily, I make my way into the seabed, where my team of odd Pokemon is easily able to thrive. Level 145 has me fighting Ivy again, and unlike the previous battles I have had with her, Ivy sends out Cinderace, and despite the matchup being in her favor, she proceeds to switch into her shiny Rayquaza. That's right, she can have a shiny Rayquaza, I guess. I use Leech Seed with Snapdragon, then proceed to switch into... Amphy unfortunately falls victim to Rayquaza, but because of her sacrifice, I'm able to safely send in Panther, and thanks to its sheer strength, it instantly knocks out Rayquaza with ease. Cinderace comes out, and I retaliate with Poseidon. Haxorus comes in to fight, and despite all the odds, Poseidon hangs onto his life and takes down Haxorus. I tried sacrificing Poseidon in order to bring Sin in safely. Poseidon landed an Icy Wind to lower Electivire's speed, letting Poseidon land a Sparkling Aria to knock it out. Kangaskhan came out and knocked out Poseidon, but just as I planned, Sin came out. Sin finished Kangaskhan and put Pidgeot on the brink of death. I let Panther die to Cinderace, but not before doing enough damage to bring it down to its last health bar section. Elegance came out, tanked a Gong Shot, and killed with Outrage. Pidgeot was called to the battlefield, but it was too late. I revived some of my Pokemon, took the Super XP Charm, and quickly rushed through the rest of the wild Pokemon battles to fight Juan. Snapdragon took out Azurill with ease, but it was just shy of knocking out Walrein. Panther finished the job and weakened Relicanth before fainting. Poseidon narrowly missed the kill on Whiscash and unfortunately fell to Earthquake. Elegance came out, and after some hesitation on what to use, I committed to using Outrage, which thankfully turned out to be the right play. Elegance was barely unable to kill Veluza, and now it was left to Amphy. Amphy was barely unable to kill Whiscash, and amongst everything, who knows why, but Whiscash went for Ice Spinner instead of Earthquake. Relicanth came out, and with a swing of its Aqua Tail, barely missed a kill on Amphy, but now it was down to her and Juan's Veluza. Unfortunately, the stupidity of his AI got the best of him, as he missed Blizzard when he had an easy kill with literally any other move, and through sheer willpower, I was able to move on to the next area. I moved into the cave, where I stumbled upon a Pokemon breeder, and apparently my Pokemon didn't love me. So I tried to prove it wrong. I lost. The rest of the cave was easy to go through. Even the boss was way too easy to deal with. I mean, I literally killed the boss Noivern with Icy fucking Wind. I stepped into the lake and was met by Guzma midway through. Golisopod was switched out immediately for Circuitry, which Elegance weakened a lot before fainting. Just as Panther was about to finish off Circuitry, Buzzwole was sent out. Amphy acted as a sacrifice to get Poseidon in safely, and he was able to finish off all of Guzma's team. That was until Mega Pinsir was sent out. I sent Snapdragon in to tank a dig, and then I let it die to X-Scissor. I safely brought in Panther, where I managed to get a crucial flinch to finish off Mega Pinsir and win the battle. And my efforts were worth it, because the reward from this battle was an Ampharos site. I took the item, and my Ampharos instantly transformed into its Mega variant. Now this is what I needed to win. The rest of the lake was easy to pass through, and it was time for a beach episode, where I instantly got a Master Ball item, being a multi-lens. This item would allow for my moves to hit twice, for an exchange of less power in my moves. However, if I put on Panther, whose main ability decreases the defense of opposing Pokemon, its strength will still feel normal in comparison to the rest of my Pokemon. After several more wild Pokemon battles, it was time to battle Misty. I put Poseidon up against Misty's Lantern, and after several exchanges of attacks, Poseidon barely managed to hang on to its life. Barbaracle came out and slayed Poseidon. Snapdragon got sent out and eviscerated Barbaracle, and after some dumb AI decisions, Feraligatr followed. And soon, all of Misty's other Pokemon. Now that I made it to the final 20 levels, it was time for me to face off against a new challenge. It was time for the Hoenn Elite Four. Sydney was up first. Amphy was put up against Overquill, which was nothing but a minor warm-up for her. Shiftry came out, and thanks to its Terror typing, managed to get Amphy to low HP. But because of an incompetent AI being in charge of its decisions, Amphy took it out before getting sucker punched. Mightyena was up next, and managed to take out Amphy, but Panther came in and weakened the foe down. Sharpedo was switched in, and this battle was very short-lived. Sydney's next Pokemon, Absol, just like Sharpedo. Drapion emerged next. I managed to get a kill on Panther. However, that was all the killing it was going to do. One Elite Four member down, 3 left. Phoebe was next, and she led with a Terror-type Gengar, which she immediately switched in for Drifblim. Sin stated, because of its constant endurance of attacks, was able to power up a devastating Rage Fist that made Phoebe's team beg for mercy. Sin fell after demolishing half of Phoebe's team, and Snapdragon came out to continue the offense. But just like Phoebe's free Pokemon, it was short-lived for Snapdragon. Amphy stepped up to the plate, weakening Bayonet, slaughtering Sableye, and sent herself off by bringing Gengar into the killing range. Poseidon was summoned, and finished off what was left of Phoebe. 2 members down, 2 members left. Glacia came forth and led the battle with a Terra Frostlass, which, like her fellow comrades, she switched out instantly. Poseidon pulled through at the start, knocking out Glacia's Abomasnow, second Frostlass, and Glalie. And against all odds, Glacia's Terra Frostlass, while being on the very brink of death, Poseidon became victim of her Mr. Rhyme. But Sin was there to finish off what Poseidon had started. 3 down, 1 left. Cyclizar led the battle, but like a broken record, did the exact same thing as every other Elite Four member. Snapdragon lived on against Noivern, finding himself a vanquish against it. Salamence was called on, and with the help of Substitute, Leech Seed, and Drake's AI being unable to possess an IQ higher than 20, was able to find another kill to put on Snapdragon's murder list. Snapdragon seeded the Terra Kingdra before falling, and Poseidon found himself being the one to finish the job. Terra Alteria came next, which became Poseidon's downfall, but Panther made quick work of it, Cyclizar, and Flygon, giving me my final win. One last battle against the champion, Wallace. Amphi was put in against Pelipper, and this time, the AI wasn't messing around. Pelipper was strategically switched out for a Terra Ground Mega Swampert, which I saw through, leading to me using Dragon Pulse on the switch. I brought out Elegance to read the ground type move and started outraging, but Wallace brought out a Slurpuff, negating the damage I could have dealt. I let Elegance use a dual wing beat before letting it faint, giving me a perfect opportunity to bring out Snapdragon for a kill. Pelipper was sent out, and with the help of some stalling, I was able to bring it down. Palkia emerged from the midst of Wallace's team and made easy pickings out of Snapdragon. Poseidon was sent out in hopes of bringing down the God of Time, and with all of his strength, slayed a god. Poseidon continued his slaughter, setting up an opportunity for the rest of the team with an Icy Wind, which led to Wallace retracting Mega Swampert in favor for Milotic. Panther was dealt with half of Milotic's health before Amphi came in, and me assuming that Wallace was willing to sacrifice Milotic was quickly shut down by Mega Swampert's immunity. I tested my luck against Swampert, but was yet again shut out. Panther was called upon, but this time a new foe came out, a Terra Water Ludicolo. Panther continued its battle for Bloodlust, but Ludicolo, by some miracle, managed to hang on, and a Reviver Seed. A Reviver Seed that I had completely forgotten about graced Panther with yet another chance of life. This was the exact thing I needed to keep this battle going, to win. Panther hastily knocked out its previous killer, and soon after, Milotic followed. Wallace sent out his last remaining Pokemon, the Mega Swampert, and this was my time for my miracle play. Swampert flinched, and the battle was over. Just like that. I had won. The Hoenn Elite Four and champion were all defeated by me. It was time to ascend up the stairway to a new location, a setting unbeknownst to the normal person, a place where I could create a legacy for me and my team. Level 199 brought me to an unknown location filled with many Paradox Pokemon, which I didn't have the privilege of catching. I continued to battle these Pokemon, shaking as I knew that the end was within my grasp. But when I least expected it, there was one more battle that I needed to do before meeting the end. She was there. It was time to fight Ivy one last time. Cinderace was sent out, but was quickly exchanged for Ivy's shiny Mega Rayquaza. Rayquaza flew up and Poseidon came in, only to fall to the sheer power that this Pokemon possessed. Panther was called upon, with hope that day could be the saving grace that I needed to reduce Mega Rayquaza's health bar to merely one section remaining. And the gods of luck blessed me. Panther picked up the kill left by Lady Luck herself. And now it was time to bring the rest of Ivy's team crumbling down. Cinderace returned, and Sin met him on the battlefield. Ivy predicted my ground type move, opting to Pidgeot to negate the damage. Sin remained in the battle, and with 2 Drain Punches and a Dream, was able to see it through and get the KO. Haxorus was called upon, and Sin sacrificed to present an opportunity for Panther. Panther found a quick knockout to Haxorus set up by Sin, and Cinderace returned yet again. Elegance came out to negate the damage, and this time, it was Electivire's chance to act as fodder for Cinderace. With a boost from Dragon Dance, Elegance managed to crush both Electivire and Kangaskhan before getting confused. Now there was nowhere left to run for Cinderace. Elegance broke through her confusion, landing her dual wing beats on Cinderace, and bringing him down to death's door. Amphi stepped in, carrying all the hopes and dreams of the team on her back, and with one Dragon Pulse, brought Ivy to an end. There was no longer anything that could stop me on my path to the top. It was time for me to battle my toughest opponent yet, an entity with the capability of destroying everything. Sin was brought out to face against Eternatus, and the battle began to seem way too easy. With the help of the focus band, Sin managed to live on 1 HP, bring Eternatus down to 1 health section of its health bar, and then the real battle began. My final battle. Poseidon came out to assist Sin and fight against the Emax Eternatus. Unfortunately for me, Sin's stomping tantrum had run out of PP, so I was already finding myself at a disadvantage without super effective attacks on one of my strongest Pokemon. Poseidon assisted in slowing down Eternatus, and Sin continued trying to help bring it down, but as the items I had collected from my journey disappeared, so did the Pokemon I had left standing. Sin fell, and Panther rose. Icicle Crush was now reduced from a quick murdering tool to a standard punch. Felt like all of the strength that I had gathered throughout my whole journey was disappearing in an instant. Panther continued attacking, slowly regaining the strength it once possessed, whilst Poseidon made itself a sacrifice for the greater cause. Elegance came out to dwindle down the health of Eternatus, but met death due to unfortunate circumstances. Amphi was called upon, and at the time I needed it most, a single miss. One miss that could have happened at any other time in the game decided to assassinate me at this very moment. And because of that, I was now at the mercy of Eternatus. Yet another critical hit took down Snapdragon, and it was left up to Amphi to win. One final chance at winning was right in front of me. Amphi armed a Dragon Pulse, and Eternatus loaded a Dynamax cannon. And